Hello, I've been cutting some scales today for Thorn, dragon here, and I thought you might like to see how I do it. I've done these already, coming around his eye, and you might be able to see that some of them are slightly bigger than others, but they all come from just one of these ordinary 2 centimetre square tiles to begin with. I've cut some that I will just pop onto his snout so that you can see them, and I'm going to aim for a few more like that. Now I've used a variety of materials on him, all glass actually, but some of it's stained glass and some of it ordinary, the little tiles, some bigger tiles. But for the scales right now, I'm working only with these tiles on his face. Now the first thing I like to do is to get rid of the manufactured straight edge, because if I leave it on, it really shows up and it doesn't give that lovely organic feel that I'm going for, which I've gone for with the rest of him. So in order to get rid of that, I'm going to nip very close to the edge. I'm not going to worry about it being straight. I don't want it straight. I want it to have a little bit of flow to it. So rather than cutting straight downwards, as we normally do, I'm going to tip my nippers to the side. You might not have seen these kind of nippers before. They're the Breeder, and they are manufactured through a lady called Candice in the States. She's really gone to town with the ergonomics and the design of it, and they're wonderful. Perfectly normal nippers work just as well, but I have discovered that these are particularly good for my health of my hand and my arm, which I have problems with. So I really love these. If you get a chance, it's definitely worth trying them. So I'm going to cut the manufactured edges of this first. I normally work over a pot, but in order for you to see, I'm just going to work straight on the table. So I'm tipping my nippers slightly over to the side rather than straight up and down, and just little bits, cutting the corner off on a diagonal. You can see very, very small pieces are coming out. And then I'm just going to carry on. Side 2. Again, keeping my nippers at an angle so that I get a little tiny bit. And then the fourth side. Now this is actually how I also made a lot of the other scales through his body, and I don't know quite what you can see in the angle, but if you can see his neck, you'll see the darker tiles in his neck are the same kind of, starting from the same but different colour, and that's all I did to get those. But for these, because they're small, I'm actually going to cut that into 4 squares now, and then trim off the little bits to make them look more scaly. So back to the normal position of straight up and down, cut in half. So I've now got a rectangle with 3 organic sides and the one that I've just cut the straight. So I'll cut that in half again. And I've now got, I don't know if you can see that, I've got quite an angular looking piece as it happens. So I think what I'm going to do with this, just to make sure it looks a bit more scaly, is first of all I'm going to just cut the corners off and see if I'm happy with that. Well, I'm going to pop it down there. I think it's still a little bit too angular. Can you see that? Around this side I think it's still a bit too angular, so I'm just going to take a little bit off that, not much, just shave it off slightly. There, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to put that in the collection. My next scale, nibble a little bit off. Let's have a look at that. I think that's going to be quite good. Every scale is unique, so they don't have to look perfect. I'm cutting off the little corner again. A bit too much of a sideways piece there, so I've just trimmed it down. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I don't mind the flat bases, because what I can do is when I put them up next to the next piece, if they don't quite fit, then I can cut the 2 outside corners off to make a little shape that it fits in. But until I know where it's going to go, an approximate shape is actually really handy. And I don't always need to do any trimming. It really depends on how it looks when I find the place it's going to go. There we go. That looks quite good. So I'm going to see if I can find some pieces to come around the eye. Now I think that has left quite a big gap. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look for a slightly wider scale. Let's have this one. And I'm using the flattish edge going towards the eye. Now that, I think that works all right. Glue on the back. I'm doing this onto painted MDF so that I give plenty of glue, and it should say, oh, I've just knocked that one out of place. It does take a little bit of while, has it? Hasn't got glue, that's why. It's not very bright of me, is it? It's because the sun's shining today, and we've seen so little sun recently, it's gone to my head. So there we go. That is how to make little dragon scales from tiles. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye!